As the plane circled, oh, sorry, again, somebody's going to be shot for this. Well, okay, I don't mean that, and I didn't mean that in front of a large group. You didn't hear that? It's not true, if anybody asks. And if anybody tonight goes missing. I looked out the window and saw a skyline and landscape dramatically different from the first time I was here on my own in late August of 1975. Back then, there was nothing. There were small patches of civilization here and there, but it was desolate until you actually got within a mile of the Strip. Now, there are miles of hotels, casinos, homes, highways, shopping centers, golf courses, and housing developments. Vegas, for me, existed in a previous lifetime. It was October of 1977. My last memory of this town was the morning two towering, well-dressed muscle men and their equally well-dressed boss, introduced to me simply as Mr. Smith, escorted me into a waiting limousine. As he slid into the rear seat, as I slid into the rear seat, Mr. Smith sat in the front with the driver. His men sat on each side of me. No one was smiling. We only drove for about 15 minutes before we were surrounded by sand and brush. The car pulled off the paved road and continued on the sand for about a half mile before stopping. The odd part was that the low skyline of the Strip wasn't that far away. Mr. Smith got out and opened the passenger side rear door. The driver stayed in the car as Mr. Smith, his guys, and I stood in the morning sun. Mr. Smith looked me in the eyes and asked, "Any idea why I brought you out here?" I returned his gaze and simply replied, "Nope, no idea." With that, one of Smith's men pulled out a pistol and held it to my head. I heard the hammer make 2 clicks as it was pulled back. I knew this was a bad sign. I was still staring at Mr. Smith as he looked at the gunman and slowly smiled. I kissed my ass goodbye. The gun was fired. I was still alive. My brains weren't part of the desert floor. The gunman moved the barrel and sent a round into the sand. Apparently, they had other plans for me. Mr. Smith, now flanked by the steroid twins, came close to me and pushed his finger deeper into my chest. And with each word as he told me to, "Get your ass out of Vegas and go back to Jersey on the next fucking plane. Because if you're not out of your room and out of Vegas by noon, they'll find your body in a hole in this desert by tonight, and they'll never find you. And tell Casiano to keep Tommy Dolan out of this town. How long did he think we were going to let you take our money? Now walk your guinea ass back to the hotel, pack your shit, and disappear."
You know you better be careful when I open the door.
John and I hit it off, of course, when he came here the other night. But Bobby Massano, who's probably one of the top blues guitarists in the country, in the Blues Hall of Fame, wonderful guy, and pretty well known in the circuit. He's been here a couple times. He mentioned to John, he said, "Here's a nice place to go and have a book signing. It's very artistic because it combines art, it combines music, it combines business all together." And it reminds me very much of the Percolator, which is down in Norfolk, which brings together business people with similar mindsets, different ideas, and they continue to percolate these ideas and put them together, and it helps one another in this synergistic formula, and it works.
I contacted Simone, and I think once he heard my voice, that was opening a big door. And then when I had sent him a copy of the book and he read The Boss Always Sits in the Back, my first book, which has been out now for about 6 years, he read it and it hit a chord inside of him because we all grew up in that culture, people like Simone and I, back in New Jersey and New York, whether it was in Manhattan or upstate New York. If you grew up during the 50s, 60s, and 70s in that culture, at that time, you knew these people. And we just had that in common. In early September, as I do every year, I start my first readings in Los Angeles during the weekend right after Labor Day. And then I have it planned wherever I go months in advance, and I go across the country, eventually getting to Virginia Beach on the eastern side, and from here I'll go up to New Jersey. So the whole thing will take about 7 weeks. I'll do New Jersey for almost 2.5, almost 3 weeks, and then make my way back across the country with more dates. And people say I'm crazy for doing it. I love doing it. I love doing it because I get to meet the people, and that's it.